The third plug-in hybrid ute in Australia has arrived. This is the Ford Ranger PHEV. It joins the BYD Shark and of course it joins the GWM Cannon Alpha plug-in hybrid. Now this is the most expensive of the trio and it's got the smallest battery in terms of capacity and EV driving range. But Ford reckons it's got the balance right in terms of payload, towing capacity, off-road ability and all of those ute things in one package. Are they right? We're going to find out in this review. Let's get into it.
The Ford Ranger plug-in hybrid comes in 4 different spec levels for Australia, and it starts at $71,990 plus on-road costs for the XLT trim, but this does come with halogen headlights and cloth seating with manual adjustment. So if you want a few more niceties in your Ranger plug-in hybrid, you'll be looking at the Sport and Wild Track models, and they've got a plus on-roads price of $75,990 or $79,990 respectively. But there's also a special top spec trim level for the plug-in hybrid Ranger, and that is called Stormtrak, and it's priced from $86,990 plus on roads. So by far, this is the most expensive plug-in hybrid of the 3 available in Australia. And it's worth noting that a plug-in hybrid powertrain adds around $5,000 to the asking price over a V6 diesel. All variants get the same plug-in hybrid powertrain, which combines a detuned 2.3-litre turbocharged petrol 4-cylinder engine, along with a 10-speed torque converter automatic transmission and 75 kilowatt modular electric motor. The Ranger PHEV also gets a selectable clutch-based 4-wheel drive system across the range, along with a low-range transfer case and locking rear differential. Now there's 138 kilowatts and 411 newton meters available from that petrol engine, while combined outputs are boosted up to 207 kilowatts and 697 newton meters, which makes it the torquiest Ranger on paper to date. Mounted underneath the tub at the back and eating into a little bit of the storage space available is a 11.8 kilowatt hour battery pack, which feeds that electric motor, and it provides a claimed NEDC driving range of 49 kilometers according to Ford, but we reckon you could bank on a number closer to 35 in the real world. This battery also powers 2 15-amp household plugs in the tray of the Ranger and 1 10-amp plug in the cabin as well. Now you can get up to 6.9 kilowatts of output across all 3 of these power outlets, which means you've got more than enough grunt to power your tools. Now, in terms of payload, Ford says there's up to 973 kilos available in the Ranger plug-in hybrid XLT, but that is without a spare wheel. So opting for that spare underslung, which is a no-cost option by the way, will eat into that available payload. And when you go up to the top spec model, Stormtrak, that payload drops down to as little as 795 kilos with a spare wheel. Braked towing capacity hasn't taken a backward step, however. You've still got 3.5 tons available here. And because the Ranger plug-in hybrid, similar to the Cannon Alpha plug-in hybrid from GWM, retains things like a low-range transfer case and locking rear differential, this Ranger should be a good operator off-road.
Now from the outside, there are a few cues that you're driving a plug-in hybrid Ranger. Now this is the Stormtrak model, and we've got this very interesting color here, which is a light blue. It's got a bit of green in it, a lot of gray as well. I don't mind it actually, but we've got different wheels as well, a bit of plug-in hybrid badging on the side there. But one thing that's important about this car, I think, is definitely the tray. Let's have a look. So, drop this down. We do have the roller cover here, which is fully electric, which is cool. And as you can see here, this tray is a little bit different to what you get in a regular Ranger. The bed is actually lifted up a little bit to make a bit of room for the batteries underneath there. And of course, you've got this auxiliary power outlet here. It's all very heavy duty feeling, nicely waterproofed, and you can actually switch it on and off from here, which is a nice feature when you're out and about powering tools or whatever it might be. So there isn't too much compromise here, I think, although if you do want a cab chassis or a flat tray at the moment, Ford cannot do it because obviously you've got a lot of power, a lot of high voltage power running around here. So how this is what you have to do. I don't know if it works for tradies. I think tradies prefer a tray and a canopy and that sort of thing. So I'm not 100% sure on this. Maybe this is more of a caravanner's choice. On the inside, this Ranger plug-in hybrid is the same in most respects. A lot of the things that we know and love about the regular Ranger, it's all here. This is the top spec Stormtrak, which is a new trim level for the plug-in hybrid, and it's all pretty nice. I do like the interior of this Ranger overall, but I do just want to show you one thing at the moment. Firstly, we've got an integrated brake controller. That's a really nice thing for people who want to tow. Straight off the bat, it's nice and clean, already there. One thing that I do really like about this plug-in hybrid is the integration of the auxiliary power. So they've got a thing called Pro Power on board here. It's through the infotainment. You can log on here and effectively turn this into a generator when you need it. Simply turn it on. I'm going to charge this trailer up nice and easy, and you can actually watch and monitor how much power you're putting out from here, how much you've got left, and of course that petrol engine will kick in as you need it. So for proper power, that is pretty cool. Now, in terms of off-road driving performance, this Ranger plug-in hybrid isn't terribly different, to be honest with you, compared to what you'd get in a regular Ranger. Yes, it's a bit quieter, and when you're in high range four-wheel drive, you can actually drive along in full electric mode, which is pretty cool actually. You can put the rear diff lock on and drive along super quietly. And because you've got a low range transfer case and a transmission that electric motor runs through, you've got torque multiplication, you've got a bit of torque there delivered to the wheel. So it's actually pretty capable off-road in full EV mode. But in low range, it isn't available. So it goes into more of a hybrid setup, I suppose. The petrol engine kicks in, and it is dominated mostly by that petrol engine and assisted by, of course, the electric motor. Now, we've got different suspension in this Ranger plug-in hybrid to account for the weight. So thicker springs at the back, retuned dampers, and of course, this is a heavier vehicle as well. So you're going to be putting up with a bit of extra weight off-road, and that's always going to be a little bit more of a limitation, I suppose. But in saying that, the testing we've been doing shows that this is still quite a capable and well set up vehicle for four-wheel driving. Visibility is good, it's reasonably maneuverable for a four-wheel drive vehicle, and you've got a locking differential, of course, in the back there, and an off-road traction control system that is pretty good. It's not as good as others out there, I have to say, but it is pretty good, I think, and good enough for the application. Ford said that they didn't want to change the Ranger-isms of this plug-in hybrid. They didn't want to change the recipe too much by changing the powertrain, and from this driving experience, this initial taste, I think they've done that. It feels the same in many ways. You've just got a bit of electric driving range there, and of course you've got still a low range transfer case, a locking rear diff, so you can drive up hills like this one. It's a decent little climb actually. We're maybe bouncing around a little bit more in comparison to a Ranger. This is a heavier vehicle at the end of the day, but it is pretty good. Driving this Ranger plug-in hybrid is very similar to other Rangers, to be honest with you, and that is a good thing because the Ford Ranger is one of the best utes in terms of the way they ride, the way they steer, the refinement, the insulation, and that sort of thing. That all carries over in this Ranger plug-in hybrid vehicle. The ride quality is a little bit different. This vehicle is heavier at the end of the day, and you can feel that from time to time. There's a slight edge of stiffness here that a regular Ranger doesn't have, but in saying that, this is still quite excellent for a four-wheel drive ute. It's worth pointing out this Ranger plug-in hybrid is around 2.6 tons in weight. Now that makes it about 100 kilos lighter than the BYD Shark and around 200 kilos lighter than the GWM Cannon Alpha plug-in hybrid. But even though we've still got leaf springs here, that's the only one of the plug-ins that has leaf springs, the ride quality is right up there for me. But in terms of the overall driving experience, insulation, this is the pick, I think. There is a nice element of just polish here where this feels just a cut above the competition. And that's important because, hey, this is the most expensive plug-in hybrid ute of the three by a long margin. So you would really expect that to be the case. On paper, it's definitely got the least electric credentials, this plug-in hybrid Ranger. It's got the smallest battery, it's got the smallest electric-only driving range. I haven't done a fully thorough test in this first drive, to be honest with you, but I would expect around a 35-kilometer electric-only range. But you can get up to 100, you can drive along pretty well. And the interesting thing, actually, is that even in electric mode, because of the location of that electric motor, it still runs up and down the gears, which is interesting. It also does it on regenerative braking. So it is a slightly different driving experience to other plug-in hybrid utes, absolutely. There's plenty of performance there when you need it, and the integration of petrol and electric power is quite smooth and easy. It doesn't really jerk around too much. You can catch it out with a big press of the accelerator pedal sometimes, but for everyday driving, this does feel really good, nicely dialed, smooth and refined. And the indication for me at the moment in terms of fuel economy with a flat battery is around 9 litres per 100 Ks, which is actually quite good. You might get better out of the BYD Shark because it's got a more electric, heavy powertrain setup with the petrol engine that is a bit more of a generator than an actual engine that drives everything. This is definitely more efficient than the GWM Canon Alpha, which has a similar layout in terms of having an actual transmission, transfer case and differentials and all of that sort of thing. So this Ranger does have the advantage there in terms of being the most efficient with the actual four-wheel drive powertrain under the skin. So it's definitely got the least electric power, it's got the smallest driving range, and it is the most expensive. So value for money, it's definitely not there, but this does have a nice element of polish to it, I think, and the integration of the power sources works really well in this car. So I do appreciate that. The whole idea of plug-in hybrid power for a ute is an interesting concept, and I think unless you're actually using all of that auxiliary power all the time, the choice of turbo diesel is still the way to go. It's a bit cheaper, it's a bit lighter, and there are no compromises really in terms of payload and towing capacity. But in saying that, this is the strength of the Ford Ranger in comparison to the other two plug-in hybrids on the market. You've got a big towing capacity and a big payload. And while yes, this is very expensive, it's got the least amount of electricity in it. The bang for buck is definitely third out of the three. But at the same time, there's a lot to like about this ute because it's still a Ford Ranger. It has all of those things that we know and love about a Ford Ranger in terms of the way it drives, the refinement, the technology, the interior, the way it all comes together. This feels like a really nice ute to live in and drive quite often. So I do like that. It just comes at a fairly hefty price. But let me know in the comments, do you prefer plug-in hybrid power? Would you prefer diesel? Who is buying this ute and using it all the time for that auxiliary power? Is it caravanners? Is it tradies? I'm really interested to hear what you guys think. Can't get enough plug-in hybrid ute content in your life right now? Well, I've got the video for you because we've got a Shark and a Canon going head to head in a comparison. Check out the video right here.